Honestly, I can't think when I've had more fun. I'm so glad you're here. This is Business of Design. I'm Kimberley Seldon, and I just had the most delightful conversation with long-term Business of Design member Kristen Apicerno. She's from Boston. She's killing it. And she remembers what it was like when she wasn't. And that's always a good premise for a podcast. She has really solid advice that's simple, that you can do, that you could implement, and you could get her results, which are something like doubling her income, adding 50% more the next year, and doubling it again. And she's just getting started. So that sounds pretty good to me. That always sounds pretty good to me. We start off the show talking about tap dancing. I haven't talked about this on the podcast, but I used to be a tap dancer when I was young, and I actually wanted to be a full-time dancer. Um, it didn't work out. When I went to university, my first degree that I wanted was a dance degree. And they told me I was going to be a choreographer because I was too big. And I said, I'm not going to be a choreographer. I want to be on stage. And they said, you're too big. So I switched gears and I did not get a degree in dance. And I was heartbroken, and I put my shoes away for these many years and finally picked them up again, seriously. And I'm just having the time of my life. And it turns out that Kristen is a tap dancer. So if anybody else is a tap dancer, please let us know, and I will send you some links to some really good classes because I've finally figured it out. Have the most amazing teacher in Los Angeles. But enough about tap. And this is a podcast that focuses on how you fabulous interior design professional, you can make more money, have more fun, satisfy more clients, and build the business that you dreamed about when you first started out. Because it's my guess when you first started out, you didn't think, you know what, I'm going to go into interior design so I can work my ass off and not make any money. I didn't have that thought, but I certainly lived that reality, and I don't want that for you. At the end of the episode, Kristen and I are talking about how I wish I could go back in time and have a plan for how I plan to grow wealth in my business earlier on, because that was really motivating for me. Once I knew what the goal was, this is how much money I want to have invested and where I want it sitting and what I want to own and what I want to do in terms of like lifestyle. What do I want to give my kids? I wanted to be able to help both of my kids buy a house. And so we've been able to do that, which is fantastic. And that plan was so helpful, even would be helpful if you're not yet at your peak and potential, because I hope you're not at your peak and potential, no matter how great things are. I hope your peak and potential is still around the corner. I feel like I still want my peak and potential to be high, even though I feel like I've done more. I've made more money than I ever dreamed possible. Believe you me, when a kid from Downey, California, 90241. I don't know why I say that every single time, but I do. Downey, California, 90241. It was a very middle class neighborhood, but we lived in the poor side of town. And I had every single thing I need, but no abundance, nothing, no superfluous luxury. And I really didn't know how important it was going to be to earn money for the future. So again, one more time, I'm just going to say this. If you haven't yet signed up for the retreat in Santa Monica, it's going to be a game changer. I guarantee it's going to be what you need to focus on the future and to make things happen for you right now so you reach your long-term goals faster. We are going to dig into your profit and loss statement. We are going to show you where you're losing money, and we're going to give you all the tools you need to make it happen simply. It's not easy because we're a little bit afraid sometimes to make changes, but it is simple. Not easy, but simple. And I know you're courageous enough to make the changes you need to make. And I know that Kristen's message is going to resonate with you. So I'm really glad you tuned in today. I'm really glad Cheryl is here with some quick announcements. And I'm so excited you're going to meet Kristen.
I'm just going to jump in with kind of a big announcement before you get to meet Kristen. It feels like this announcement has been over a decade in the making because it has. So here goes. If you are not yet offering project management, if you are not yet taking the lead on projects, if you are not yet extremely profitable because it's not legal in your area to hire and manage trades and charge your clients for that extremely valuable service, mark your calendar for May 27th. We will be offering a webinar led by Kimberley and Wendy Estella, who's a lawyer who's been working with us to find a legal way for interior design professionals to take on project management for their clients. This is game changing and fully supports what we teach at Business of Design. So again, mark your calendar for May 27th. But don't wait until then to get started. If you are not yet a member of Business of Design, I know that after hearing Kristen on this episode, you're going to take that next step and sign up. Get started with the BOD 15 and then join us on May 27th. This is going to change everything. Thank you so much.
Okay. Besides, you look like Jennifer Lopez, with that, I was wearing that
Oh,
microphone and
thank you.
oh, there's a girl in my tap class who has Jennifer Lopez's body. It's like, are you kidding me? Why do I have to
Take a
stand
few
behind
class
this?
classes.
Yes, I do.
I'm a I've been looking for an adult hip hop and tap class around here.
Stop it.
Oh, you don't well, I danced it all the way through college and then I miss my tap so much.
Are you
Much.
kidding? Where do you live again?
I'm in Boston.
It's such a long way for you to come to LA. It's just, but it would be worth it. I swear it would be worth it. It's really hard if you know how to tap dance to find an adult tap dance class because
Yes.
they're all for beginners. So I'm lucky in LA, there's a couple. And the guy I take from studied with Eddie Brown. Like this is like the most famous tap dancer in the 30s and 40s. He was his assistant, and now he's the guy. Anyway, there's somebody out there. I'll ask Howard. I'll ask my teacher if he knows anybody in Boston because we get drop-ins all the time. Like somebody from Seattle comes, somebody from whatever. They study all over. Also, you can Zoom with him.
Oh my gosh. I think I would be so my palms would start sweating just thinking
Yeah.
about. I mean, it's
No.
a minute since I have my tap shoes and I put them on sometimes if, I've had a few cocktails and, I want to have a good time. Sometimes the tap shoes come out.
You are kidding me. Okay, that's insane. It hasn't been a minute really because it was 40 years for me. I didn't even have tap shoes anymore. Now I have custom tap shoes that are being made for
You?
me. I do. There's this company, this little couple in Los Angeles, and her father came to Los Angeles from Mexico and started making shoes for the movies. Like he made Batman shoes and Star Trek boots, and he makes tap shoes, and they're not going to be around much longer. So everybody's like, go get your
Oh,
tap
that's
shoes.
really
They
special.
make a little mold of your foot, and
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it's too precious for words. So anyway, wow. Welcome to Business of Design, where we talk about tap dancing. Yes.
Yes.
We have so much more to talk about, Kristen, because now that I've fallen down the rabbit hole again, there's all these great, cool, modern tap dancers online and classes online. So you can do this.
I'm going to have to, and I will scuff up my kitchen hardwoods doing it.
Oh my gosh. And I want to buy myself a little floor, like a little, 6x6 kind of thing
You
that
need
folds up.
one.
That's what I want. Okay, that's enough of that. Although, honestly, why shouldn't we just do an hour on tap dancing? And I don't know. It's so good for your brain. It makes you really focus and pay attention and get it like 100% attention, or else I'm completely and totally lost. So, anyway, that's got to tie into business somehow, but I'm at a loss because I'm just too excited talking about tap shoes. So we'll just start now and say, for sure, we're going to switch to the topic you tuned in for, which is the business of design. And you may have heard Kristen on a recent episode with Dane Austin. It was just so beautiful. I love the whole thing. Open mic, by the way, if you have a guest you want to interview, Kristen, anybody, and you can get Cheryl to say yes. We love having a guest host of Business of Design. I get a day off and I get to listen to the show, which is really fun.
Win-win.
I don't normally do this. I don't normally start the show talking about tap dancing, but aside from that, I don't normally start the show talking about your design intervention, but it was so good. And I thought it just deserves to be said again. If you recall what yours is, and if you don't, I can remind you. What your Kristen is nodding her head yes. So tell me tell me your design intervention. Let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, I am a Kimberley Seldon disciple. And you always talk about this, but I wasn't practicing it until about 3 years ago, I would say. And to be honest, oh God, I hope she doesn't listen, but even my accountant, who actually works with other prominent interior designers in the Boston market, would say, I don't know, Kristen, that feels like double dipping. I don't know. And so it was giving me even more pause about charging what I should be charging. And it was really limiting my earning potential. So
wait, yeah, that is just a gross understatement. Like you literally can't build wealth if you have that attitude that you're only allowed to charge for your time.
I thought I was doing something wrong if I was charging too much markup, or if I mean, the idea of charging a project management fee was so out of the world to my accountant that and again, she works almost solely with designers. She said, you actually get that money, Kristen? I can't, good for you. Like I felt like I was stealing, but I'm not stealing. I wasn't paying myself I wasn't paying myself after the design presentation. I wasn't paying myself for the whole project management part of which that was work, a lot of work. So anyway.
Wait a minute. And that's actually the most risky. That is the area you have the most liability. And like you, 95% of interior design professionals do all that for free. Or I'm going to say it this way, they think they're doing it for free, but they're actually spending their own money to provide that service to the client. So you're actually losing money. Correct. And it's a shame that our associations haven't helped us with this. They have rolled over and played dead in this regard. And it has been a great disservice to our industry, who by the way, is majority women. So it's no surprise that builders can double dip from here to eternity, if we're going to use that ridiculous phrase, or any corporate CEO who's running a financial institution can double dip from here to eternity. But heaven forbid you, a female, should be able to charge for your design expertise and then your willingness to take on the risk of project management. It's absolutely unfathomable that we have found ourselves here.
I am with you 100%. And when you start looking at it through that lens, it seems ridiculous, because what business, name any business, a convenience store, whatever, what business doesn't have multiple profit centers? So for designers, we have our time and expertise, we have markup, and we have a project management fee, all completely viable streams of revenue, all completely plausible for us to charge. Yet for some reason, we're giving away our design discounts, we're undercharging for hourly, or we're giving free hours, or I did this for free, so I'm not going to charge you. Like, what is this? Let's make a deal. And then we're just not charging on the back end for all the project management, because I don't know what's going on with your firm, but about 20 to 25% of our items are coming in damaged or otherwise deficient.
Right.
And it takes a lot of time to rectify that.
Right.
And I wouldn't be on the phone with the vendor if it weren't for my client's project.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't know. I think in the example that I had submitted to you, like no one questions the grocery store for charging markup on a loaf of bread, but also delivery fees if you choose to get your groceries delivered. Right. Nobody questions that.
Right. With us, it's somehow a question, but you know who questions us the most? Us. We do. It's absolutely absurd. You know, I have clients who are big mucky muck financial guys. They never question. They never have once said that's double dipping. They completely understand, excuse me, that my profit model has to be multi-layered or I won't have profit.
Yes. And that's healthy and normal.
Right.
I know it. It's between this and menopause awareness. I'm just on a bandwagon right now. Like we're old
enough to be at that stage. That's
Oh yeah, I'm
hilarious.
47. I'm
Are
47.
you? Oh no, I've got you beat by at least when I can do the math. Let me see. I'm not very fast with math, as you can tell, but 15 years, 15 years. I got 15 years
No,
on you.
no.
A really good 15 years ahead because I'm telling you, the period where I was your age to now has been extremely lucrative, extremely lucrative. And here's the amazing thing, way easier than the period before that wasn't lucrative, way easier. The more systems I had in place, the more inflexible boundaries I put around what I did, the better the projects became, the more compliant clients became, the more clients would say to me, what do you think we should do? Okay, let's do that. Like, have you ever heard that Taylor Swift song, If I Were the Man, or I'd Be the Man, or whatever? And she said, I wonder what it's like for people to believe you. In the song, the lyrics are, what it's like for people to believe you. I had that sensation when I got my systems in place and I raised my rates. I started noticing, instead of saying, really, do you think that will work? Clients said to me, okay, if that's what you think we should do, let's do
That
that.
sounds
Right? It was like, oh my gosh, the secret is to have confidence, and the way to have confidence is to lean into the systems that you have and not defend ridiculous things like double dipping, whatever that is. I don't even know, what does that even mean? Like it
earning
means
money.
it means get in your lane, little girl, and you're not allowed to make money. It's like, wow, I didn't think I'd become a feminist in my later stage, but I wish I had the bandwidth to, and boy, if somebody does, let's talk, to tackle this industry-wide problem. We do have a lawyer coming on the show soon who has figured out the workaround for allowing you legally to do project management if you live in a state or province that doesn't allow it. I do it, and I'm really happy about that. It took a long time. It took a lot of hiring a lot of lawyers, but we finally found one who's like, yeah, this works. Let's do this.
I
So,
have it in my contract. I my contract is has been fully vetted by my attorney, and I very clearly and simply explain the project management fees in there. It's like,
mhm.
who's paying me to execute steps 6 through 15? Like what?
Yeah. It's not going to be me. Spoiler alert. I'm not going to pay. I'm not the bank for this project. I'm not bankrolling the project. So I'm happy we started there because I hope that's fired up some listeners who have been sitting on their hands and thinking, I can't really charge that much. And the reasons we hear are hilarious. I can't charge that much because I didn't go to design school. I can't do that because I live in a small town. I can't do that because I live in a big town. I can't do that because, my clients just won't
My
pay
clients want
that.
to pay. Right,
And I'm
right.
like, then you have the wrong client. Like then why are you pandering to a client who can't, put money in your pocket for doing the work that you do? Ay, ay, ay. It's a
Whole
really
can of
complicated
worms.
business. Yeah, don't do it if you think this is a puff piece.
But you know what? Yeah, right. To answer your question though, I think it's going to have to be sort of like there's going to have to be some industry leaders who start beating the drum on this, and they're going to have to talk at like High Point, and they're going to have to talk at like Spring at the design centers, in all the different regions. I think that's the only way that we're going to be able to band together and change people's philosophy on the pricing model, because we're hurting ourselves.
We are. We are. We have made progress because I know I've said this before, but with business of design, when I first started speaking, like at High Point, I was just asking people to charge for the consultation. That was my main talking point. People weren't even, and I would get booed. I literally would get booed because people would say, you can't do that. It's rude. You want to see if you like each other. I'm like, oh my God, no, I like someone who pays me. That's who I like. I don't like someone who wants me to come to their house and pick my brain for free. That's not my client. Anyway, so things have changed, but I think we need a big groundswell, and we will meet resistance. That's the problem. The builders associations and the architects associations will fight it. They will fight it, which, by the way, let me think. Those two professions predominantly, yeah, men. That's right. That's right. That's right. Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
Kimberly, you keep on marching. You don't worry about pioneers dying with arrows in their backs. I got you.
Right? Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, boy, do I have a lot of reasons to wave a flag and beat a drum these days. I'm not sure if I have enough arms for all the drums I need to beat. So it's a business. You have to make money. Stop apologizing. Stop defending. If your accountant can't get on board, get a new accountant. If there are 100 prominent firms in your city that aren't doing that, I'm telling you, they're prominent firms who have no money. So don't worry about it. When you fly, you'll fly first class and they'll be at the back of the bus. That's how that's going to work. Just trust us. So, Kristen, you've been a Business of Design member for a while, but you've really embraced and implemented everything. Like, for how many years would you say?
Right. So I opened my own firm in 2020. And then I would say I started immediately taking like little sips of business of design in 2020. I was listening to the podcast, I was a lurker, and I thought, then the more you spoke, because I have a very strong sales background. In fact, that is my
Okay.
entire background is sales, marketing, and advertising. And I really liked what you were saying. I'm like, oh, she knows what's going on. And the more I listened to you, the more I liked, then I bought. So I would say I became an official member probably about 3.5 years ago. It took me a few months to get through everything, and I didn't want to make swift changes to my company until I went through and I actually heard all the modules because they're all related to each other. And so it's been about 3 solid years of Kimberley Seldonizing my clients.
And what's happened in your company? Like what I want to get to some of what you've learned and how that has things maybe you thought you could never do that you did that made a difference. So somebody else might go, I've been thinking about that, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm just writing a note to myself to remember to tell you. So number one, I would say that from the broad spectrum, we have doubled our income every single year for the past 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
Not more work,
Okay.
less work.
So say it again, because somebody's going like, nah, what?
So we have doubled our income year over year so the first year I started, implementing the 15 steps, I doubled. And I thought, okay, all right. But I still needed work because it wasn't totally seamless yet for
Right,
me. Then
right.
then the next year I doubled again. And then last year I did not double. Last year, I went up 50% last year. Last year was
Okay.
a hard year, I think, for a lot of designers. I think a lot of people were struggling. Clients were in an election year. I think people are a little skittish. And I was definitely feeling that clients were looking to take more projects in phases, or they were
Yes,
scrutinizing the budget a little bit more. But okay, so fine. So I didn't grow 100%. I grew 50%. I'm not going to be mad about that.
right,
And this year, um, I recognized at the end of last year that it was time for me to level up again to the next echelon of clientele,
right.
because I really had exhausted all I could do. I was feeling very limited creatively, budget wise, the whole 9 yards. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I have to raise my rates. So in January, I raised my rates. And now I'm getting the next echelon of clients because every time I do a project brief, which is what we call our intake call, um, I tell them that my design consultation fee is now $750, and it's very easy for after I explain everything they're going to get, they weed themselves out, and so that's okay because I'm not
Yeah,
for everybody, and that's all right. Um, we're just looking to target small groups of highly interested people, and
right.
that's all right. So
And I so hope everybody can hear you because so many times we meet people say, "Well, I don't really want to raise my rate right now because last year wasn't really good." And I'm like, "Gosh, that is the solution to the problem,
it
though.
is.
That is going to get you you could have fewer clients and make more money, work less, make more money. That's not cheating. That's smart. That's
But I
that's
was
a business.
Yes, but it's not just that. Like, if you look at the entire sales cycle from that first phone call to you throwing down the last throw pillow, and then photography, because I do
Mhm.
consider that as part of the sales cycle. And beyond photography, referrals and repeat business is the end part of the sales cycle.
Mhm.
So if you don't start out with a project that has enough budget to get you that amazing photography that may or may not get you published, or even just to put it on your website, and then the friends come over the home, and if it doesn't look great, are you going to get their business? So it behooves you to really weed them out. It
Yeah.
behooves you to raise your rates and really make sure you're working with the right people, and personality too, by the way.
Mhm.
And so I did recognize at the end of last year, Kristen, this is at the every time I have leveled up in terms of the clientele that I'm serving, there's always sort of this like lull. And that's when I feel it. And that's when I know you have to raise the rates. You have to raise it.
Right.
So last year our design consultation was 675. This year we upped it to 750. And even though it's not a terrible increase, it's enough. There's a 7 there instead of a 6.
Yeah.
And then we increased our hourly rates as well. We bill on flat fee, so that, doesn't pay, they don't pay attention as much to that, but it works. It just works.
It just works. And I think, as so often is the case, like the thing that holds us back is fear. I'm afraid if I raise my rate, I won't get another client. I'll never work again. I'm afraid I won't make as much money if I don't take this job that is absolutely not fun and not what I want to do. I'm afraid. And I always try to preface it with, listen, we've all had moments where we needed to pay the bills, and I would have worked at Starbucks if I had to. So there's no shame if you have to take the job because you need the money. But, the sooner you can get to the place where you can trust the universe and just raise the rate. And it's interesting. Last year I had a really good year. This year is not going to be the same at all for me. I haven't gone down in my profit for years and years, but this year I will go down, and my clients are putting projects on hold at a pretty steady clip. But the majority of my clients are in Canada, and the continuous threats have
Uh-huh.
made my clients extremely uncomfortable. And I had 2 projects in Florida, and they are both selling their homes. They are no longer going to Florida. So that's that. I'm saying, like, how about Costa Rica? How about let's go to France, like whatever. But it's sort of heartbreaking as an American who lives in Canada part of the time, this whole thing. So this is going to be an interesting year for me. And I understand what it feels like when you feel like, uh-oh, I'm not getting the work. Who am I going to, I'll take anything. No, I won't take anything. I'm going to sit quietly, and it's going to sort itself out without me getting
It really
involved.
does. It really does. It's scary. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's scary, but I'm so used to being scared. I feel like as a business owner, I am so used to being scared every day that it's like just a part of my everyday operation. And I'm just like, well, as long as what I have safety in though is the process. And that makes me feel safe because I know what's happening first, next, and last. My clients know what's happening first, next, and last. And I can't mess it up. If I just follow along, I can't mess it up.
Isn't that such a good feeling? I know you have a philosophy about how the designer and the client are equal. Oh, tell me about that. What does that mean for you in your
So
company?
in my past life, I worked in broadcast media for 15 years. Managed the sales and marketing team of the #1 adult contemporary station in Boston, Magic 1067. And even though I left that job completely burnt out, I mean, it was as cutthroat as it can be. I now have come to really respect and honor my time there because it has taught me so much. We were put through, I mean, years and years of formal sales training, negotiating training. I mean, I feel very grateful for that. Okay. And one of the trainings we did was Sandler Training Institute, which is a very well known sales institute. And their philosophy, I can't take credit for this, but I have adopted it. Their philosophy is that the client and the prospect should be equal. So it's not that the client is here. Um, I'm sorry, the client and the salesperson or designer should be equal. It's not that the client is here and the designer is down here. You have to approach every conversation as if you're sitting at the same on the same side of the table.
Mhm.
So you have to be careful, especially from the onset, to to say things like, well, at first we'll schedule a 20-minute phone call and we'll get to understand what your goals are. And then if it makes sense for both of us at the end of that meeting, we might want to schedule a design consultation. But that language, if it makes sense for both of us,
Right.
and then it's just the idea of keep threading that through here,
As
through
opposed to if you want to move forward with me, if
correct.
you're going to pick me,
Correct.
if I'm good enough for you.
It's nuanced.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not, but it does set the tone like, hey, I need to make sure this is a good fit for me and my firm, just like you are interviewing me.
Right.
We're the same here. But that translates all the way through the process, even when we're doing our planning budgets and whatever. It's sort of like, well, okay, if you want your design fees to be reduced, that's totally fine. What are we going to augment about your scope of work? Because everything is relative. The design fees are exactly relative to your scope of work. So let's talk about what are the must-haves and what are the nice-to-haves.
Right. Rather than, okay, I can lower my fees. I can lower my fees.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's just, it's game
All
over
right.
at that point.
Exactly. And so when you start approaching those conversations like that, I think it's a game changer.
Mhm. Do you find, I guess clients prefer, in my experience, clients prefer approaching it on an equal level. Clients recognize if the designer is presenting themselves as somewhat beneath the client and willing to do anything to get the job. And they may even like it initially, like, oh, good, I'm gonna take advantage of this
Oh
one.
yeah, right.
But eventually resentment grows and they don't like it anymore. And you never take the expert advice of someone you think is less than you. So I find that clients actually can relax and trust that I'll be the expert they've been looking for because we're at an equal level.
I completely agree. I think your stock goes up.
Right.
I think they say this is a person who knows their worth. And this is a person who is not afraid to push back on boundaries. And that's a good thing. Why would I want to work with someone who isn't confident?
Right.
Why would
Or
I trust them?
who will cave if someone says let's cave. And I literally have said to clients before, I'm not gonna go negotiate what's in my contract, nor am I going to negotiate what you need when I have trades in your house. Because if sometimes there's a trade who will say, you know what, if we skip this layer in the shower, it probably won't matter in terms of waterproofing. And there are people who go, yeah, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, no, we want all of the things that we've asked for. So right, the minute you sort of show that you're willing to like negotiate, it makes you
It's not
suspicious.
it does. It's like it's the reason why no one likes going to buy a car at a car dealership.
Thank you.
It's the
I hate
same,
that.
it's the same exact thing. It's you're immediately diminishing your credibility, your quality, your expertise, all of it. And if you really want to be seen as an equal to your client, you can't waver. The other night, I did something that I don't normally do, and you're going to get mad at me. But this particular client could only meet at 5:30 at night on a Zoom call with me on a Friday night. And I was like, okay, fine, fine, okay, because we know we don't work on evenings and weekends. I know, Kimberly, I know.
Well,
So
let's hear the rest of the story.
okay. So So anyway, we are having the meeting and I'm okay, great. So we're going to review the budget in our next meeting. And she says, I have no time during the week. I'm traveling. Weekends are for family and house things. So can we meet tomorrow, which would have been Saturday? Can we have a Google Meet on Saturday evening and we can review the budget? And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. We do not work on evenings and weekends because we have families as well. And that's when we get our errands done. But I'm happy to schedule a call with you first thing on Monday. And I could tell the slightest bit of annoyance in her voice.
Sure.
However, she did, and we are having a meeting tonight at 5:30.
Yeah.
We can only meet after work, so I'm making a because I'm not being unreasonable, but I have to put some boundary there, or else it will be a runaway train.
100%. And I think you did exactly the right thing. She didn't quite get what she wanted, but she felt like you heard her. And you know how what I would say in a situation like that, and I've done things like that before because I'm going on vacation and I need this meeting before I get out of town. So it's me who desperately needs this done, kind of thing. But I'll say something like, you know what, we've got a crazy week with installations. I'm flying to Florida to finish a project. So I don't mind doing this on Friday at 5:30 or Monday at 5:30 p.m. because it actually helps me with what's coming up this week. I
Yeah.
sometimes put it like, oh, yeah, that works for me too for the following reason.
Again, what did you
Um,
just do? You made the client and you equal, right?
yeah, you're not the only one who has a busy schedule, lady. So, yeah, okay, this works for me. So let's do this. And I have, to be honest, I have some clients that I've had for now for so many years. I've done like 4 or 5 projects for, and I'll say, listen, I'm going on a bike trip. I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks. This is the only week we can do what we need to do. And if Saturday's the only day she can meet, I'll do it because she
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks.
But
And
it's the
we've
exception, not the
built
rule.
trust. That's right. We've built trust. But as a general rule, I certainly never at the beginning of a project, never, never.
Right.
It's interesting. That's a really important thing that you said. Clients don't always like it when you say no. However, they adjust because they understand that this is a business. And if they want the service of this business, they have to adjust. And just like a toddler, they actually feel safer with the boundaries. They feel more comfortable. They feel more confident when there are those boundaries. Without boundaries, they begin to wonder who's running the show,
Mhm. Yes, agreed. And
or they
then
think they're running the show. And then
yeah,
it's over, game over.
over.
Drop the mic, go home.
And projects always end the way they begin. Always, always,
Always,
always,
always,
always.
always. Oh my gosh, I feel like you're my young sister, my very, very, very young sister. There you go. That's incredible. I love that. I love that. Talk to me about how you elicit information from your clients when you're the expert and you're on the same level. You want to know what they need from you, or do you have specific language that you use? How do you make that work?
Well, do you mean like on the first intake call or throughout the entire process?
Throughout the process, like who talks more? Who does most of the talking? How does it work?
It depends what phase, what step we're on, who does the most talking. But I would say early on in the relationship, when we're doing the project brief on the phone, that first 20-minute phone call to kind of decide whether or not this would even make sense to book a design consultation at the design consultation itself. And usually during the budget phase as well, we are doing about 70% of the listening. The and we're only talking about 30% of the time because that is our time to kind of extract as much information as we can, knowing that knowledge is power, and we want to be able to make them feel heard and seen. Also, if we're not listening, we can't deliver what they're asking
Right,
or what
right.
they need. So we have to listen to them. We have to listen for all of those the nuances they say in passing. Oh, I have terrible allergies, and you're like, wait a minute, tell me more about that. What are you allergic to? Down? Oh, okay, that's something we need to know. We've actually, in light of streamlining processes, once the contract is signed and we start design development, the first thing we do is we send them a Google form, and it takes about 15 minutes for them to fill it out. But we ask all the detailed questions like, do you like stripes or geometrics? And what do you think about this fabric? And are there any allergies we need to know about? What side of the bed do you sleep on? I don't know. It gets really, really detailed. But we also ask things like, what do you do for work? Or what did you do for work? What format of music do you listen to? And we are very purposeful with why we ask these questions. What scents do you like? Fruity, floral? Like we ask these
Mhm.
questions because like at installation, for example, when we play music, when we're doing the reveal, if they love Adele, guess what's going to be playing in the
Love
background
that.
when they come in. So we are very thoughtful with what we ask their birthdays because they're going to keep getting birthday cards from me every year.
Right.
So like we have very certain things that we ask in those forms, and we get a lot of information from them that
I
way.
love all those questions, and we don't ask all those questions. The music one is one that we need to ask, but I do all that at the consultation. I can squeeze all those in kind of. I have a little checklist, and I'm sort of, kind of, when is your birthday? Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Like, and I'm just kind of stealth about it. So they don't even know that we know when their birthdays are. And I try, well, no, I'm a really good listener. You're right. At the consultation, it's really them doing most of the talking, and sometimes I'll just want to clarify. Did you just say you hate stripes? Like, what's that about? Like,
Yeah,
what,
yeah, right, right,
have you
right.
done time in prison? Why
Right,
why do you
right,
hate the
right.
stripes?
Let's
I'm
talk.
like,
I'm
what
not judging
stripes
you.
done to you? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So you seem happy, and you seem like you just gave yourself a raise, and this year's on track to be more profitable still. And even though you're relatively young, it's really time for you to be thinking about what, 25 years down the road. This is a really good time to think about that. What am I going to do to really generate wealth for my family so that when I retire, I can do all the things I love doing without giving it another thought? Have you begun to figure out what that plan looks like?
Yes, I have. I think that because this is my second career though, that I still feel like I have to, earn my stripes a little bit more, like speaking of stripes, but I feel like I still need to like I'm not there yet. I'm not at the level that I want to be yet. I'm still working toward that. So yes, I think about it because I have, two kids and one's 14 and one's 12 and they're going to college and I know what's ahead, but I still feel like in a lot of ways I'm still perfecting my game right now.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I'm still like climbing my way up right now.
yeah.
So yes, I'm thinking about it, but at the same time, I just keep trying to like outdo myself every year to
Interesting. And you probably feel like you have your hands full, but if I could go back in time, I wish I had that plan much sooner. It really has been powerfully motivating for me to have that plan um, in the past decade that I've had it. And if I could have had it for 25 years or 30 years, wow, I can't even imagine what I might have accomplished. So it might be worth thinking about. It just might be worth thinking
well,
about.
we have is we're working I'm working with, a financial planner and so I have an accountant who is the controller of the business, but then I
Mhm.
have a personal financial planner as
Yeah.
well because obviously we have to take care of ourselves with retirement plans and 401k
Yeah.
IRAs and college saving, and all that. So if that's what you're getting at, then yes, we do have a financial planner, and that is something that is important to me because even though I see myself having still a long way to go, there are still things I can be doing now to shore up my stability for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great that you have a financial planner, and they can just run the numbers. At this rate, earning what you're earning, you can live to 107 and have the lifestyle you want, or you have to die at 65 if you
Yep.
want to continue with the lifestyle you
Right.
want. Okay, what changes am I going to make to get this on track? But even things like, one of my financial planners years ago said, "Are you income sharing with your kids?" Like, what's that? So there are just so many things I would have done sooner rather than later as a way to transfer wealth to kids as they get older, especially because yours are 14 and how old?
12.
12
Mhm.
and 14. So you've got time to make all these things happen. And I have no doubt you're going to make all of it happen. No doubt at all. And you're in Boston. You said you're in Boston.
I am. And one of the things that we did this year, sorry, last year, that helped tremendously is I don't know how it works in Canada, but in for your LA office, I'm sure you know, we are an S corp now,
Mhm.
so that helped tremendously on the tax front because I was getting killed. Massachusetts is really high when it comes to
Yeah.
taxes, much
Yeah.
like California.
Blue states pay
I
those
know,
taxes. Boy,
I
we
know,
pay
I
those
know. And I
taxes.
wouldn't change it. I love living here.
Right.
Like everything about it, I love. But we do get killed in taxes, especially when you're a small business. And
Right.
there's no fun, breaks for women-owned businesses and all that stuff. So S corp was the way to go. It ended up saving us a ton of money, and so that was something that we did. It hurt because I had to go on salary, and that was
It
definitely
was
an adjustment.
new. Yeah.
It was an adjustment, but I did it, and it paid off in dividends in the end of the year. So,
Amazing. Okay. Last question. What's your favorite town on the Cape?
oh, well, the outer Cape. I mean, yeah, you have to go out. I mean, you don't want to go too far close to, the bridge because that's very commercial. I would say Eastham and Brewster are two of my favorite towns. Do you know the Cape?
Chatham. We rent in
Oh,
Chatham.
yes.
I love,
That is
yeah. But I
beautiful.
mean, where I used to, Brewster, amazing, amazing. We have really close friends who have a place in P Town and other friends who have a place in Chatham, but I love the Cape.
They're all good. You know what it is? Every town has its own flavor.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Chatham is phenomenal, but I'm not going swimming there. Sorry. Not going swimming
Oh,
in
because
Chatham.
of the sharks in the
Correct.
seals. Yeah.
Correct.
Every year,
No, thank you.
somebody gets eaten every year. My kids to this day are like, I'm a little bit afraid. I'm like,
No,
you
thank you.
should be afraid. Yeah.
But in East Ham and Brewster, they have awesome art studios and art galleries and antique stores. And it's just so quaint and quiet. And I just love it there. The Cape's
Um,
magical.
I love the Cape. All right, everybody, let's go to the Cape. We're all going to visit
Let's
Kristen.
go.
Kristen, anytime you want to
Post
come
it.
back on the show or take the mic and interview someone else, I would happily turn it over to you. Like you're such a success story, and we're so happy to be part of your life. And hopefully, I'll be hanging out in Boston one day, and or you'll come to Santa Monica.
I would love that. I would love that. I would say that Business of Design literally transformed everything about how I go about my business, how I earn money. And I am just a huge advocate, so much so that I'm actually taking it again. Because what happened was like I did it 3 years ago, and then I think I kind of like fell into my own habits, and I forgot some of the finer points that actually are big points. So I'm actually starting all over again.
You know what? I say it's like AA. Like you don't like get sober and then never pick up the book. They read the book for the rest of their lives because otherwise I fall back into my old habits.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. There are times when we do like a BOD live and somebody says something about that they do, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be doing that, but I didn't do that on the last job. What is wrong with me? Like,
I
why did
know.
I forget that? Like, there's a lot. There's a
Yes,
lot. So
very
yeah,
meaty.
I appreciate that. I completely appreciate that. Well, much love to you, and hopefully this year will end up being an amazing year for you and your firm. And thank you so, so much.
Thank you. It's so much fun. It's such a rush to be talking with you. I was really nervous today. I don't know why. I just was so nervous
Oh
because
my
I,
gosh.
listened to your voice for so long, in my earbuds while I'm walking or working out, and just be able to talk with you face to face is something else.
Okay, well, now I have to send you a couple links for tap classes. And
Yes.
when I'm in my Canadian part of my life, I'll be doing the classes on Zoom. So I'll be looking for any good Zoom
Oh,
classes
I'll
I
wait
can
hello
find.
to
So we'll
you.
be in class together. Yes. All right, stay well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye for now.